Hello everyone. It seems like the partnership between James Harden and Daryl Morey has hit a rough patch. Harden made some rather unkind remarks about Morey, even going so far as to label him as untruthful. However, this video isn't primarily focused on that issue. It's more about the likelihood of James Harden's tenure with the Sixers coming to an end. If they don't trade him before training camp, which is entirely plausible, it's a scenario we need to consider. Daryl Morey has indicated that the Sixers intend to retain James Harden and have him attend training camp. Nevertheless, we should remember that James Harden has, on two separate occasions, exhibited a tendency to quit on his team. Whether his actions are exaggerated drama or he's genuinely addressing a situation where Daryl Morey misled him is a matter for debate. James Harden remains an immensely talented player who led the league in assists last season. However, his performance tends to wane during crucial moments, especially in the playoffs. While he did have some strong playoff games, including a few standout performances without Joel Embiid, there's a substantial history of underwhelming playoff performances. He has long expressed his desire to join the Clippers, but they appear reluctant to part with Terrence Mann. Daryl Morey, understandably, is seeking a package that meets his criteria for trading James Harden. Many Lakers fans and pundits have pondered whether the Lakers should pursue Harden, but the question remains open. What if the Lakers decided to pursue a trade for James Harden? They certainly have the assets to put together an enticing package to acquire him. In fact, they might even be able to assemble a more appealing offer than what the Clippers are contemplating. However, the question remains, does it make sense, and would it actually work? One crucial factor to consider is not parting ways with Austin Reaves. If the Sixers are interested in D'Angelo Russell, that could be a potential piece of the puzzle. Of course, it would necessitate more than just D'Angelo Russell. You'd likely have to include 3 or 4 other players in the deal. Sacrificing both your point guards might not be a significant issue, especially if you have LeBron James and James Harden on board. You could figure out the roster composition with players like Austin Reaves. Additionally, including someone like Torrey Craig to provide wing defense and three-point shooting could sweeten the deal. However, there's a possibility that you might have to part with a valuable asset like Rui Hachimura, which isn't an ideal scenario. Personally, I'd prefer to retain Hachimura if possible. Regardless of how you approach it, acquiring James Harden would likely require the Lakers to give up a substantial package. Picture a lineup featuring James Harden, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. It could be an incredibly potent trio. With Austin Reaves still in the mix, the Lakers would maintain valuable size and perimeter depth. Plus, you could potentially hold on to players like Jared Vanderbilt, adding another layer of depth to the roster. Imagine a scenario where James Harden joins forces with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. In this constellation, you'd have your primary defensive anchors in LeBron and Anthony Davis, while Austin Reaves provides decent defensive support. It's no secret that Harden's defensive capabilities are lacking, particularly when compared to his offensive prowess. In the regular season, you might find that this trio excels more on the offensive end. James Harden has the ability to put up impressive numbers, averaging around 21 points and 12 assists per game. LeBron might even be willing to take a step back in terms of playmaking and scoring, allowing Harden to take the reins at times. One interesting aspect to consider is how Harden's inconsistent playoff performances could be mitigated in such a setup. With Austin Reaves, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis in the mix, there would be a strong support system. On the nights when Harden is on, you'd be practically unbeatable. Imagine having James Harden scoring 25 to 30 points, complemented by the scoring capabilities of LeBron and Anthony Davis. Furthermore, Harden's proficient shooting skills allow him to play effectively off the ball. In situations where LeBron or Austin Reaves run the point, Harden can thrive as a shooter and scorer. The potential for this configuration to work is evident. The Lakers boast an excellent coaching staff, a winning culture, and the leadership of LeBron and Anthony Davis. All the ingredients for success are there. Of course, the success of such a move would largely depend on the trade package offered and the chemistry that develops on the court. However, it's safe to say that if the Lakers traded for James Harden and went on to win an NBA championship, few would lament the decision. Winning a championship tends to validate such moves. Nonetheless, there are potential pitfalls and challenges that could make this endeavor disastrous. I strongly advocate for the Lakers to steer clear of any dealings involving James Harden. Historically, the Lakers have displayed a penchant for acquiring additional star players, especially when prompted by LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They often consider bolstering their roster by adding another prominent name. However, this inclination comes with certain risks, even if the trade doesn't demand a hefty sacrifice. For instance, if they were to trade away players like D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and Taurean Prince, the loss of someone like Rui, although painful, might be manageable. There are still valuable assets on the Lakers roster, such as Jared Vanderbilt, Cam Reddish, and Jackson Hayes. These players provide the Lakers with a solid foundation, ensuring they remain competitive in the upcoming season. James Harden, despite his playoff inconsistencies, may offer more in terms of performance compared to D'Angelo Russell. It's conceivable that a starting lineup featuring players like James Harden, Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis could be highly effective. This configuration holds immense promise. Yet, even if this trade were to materialize, it might require some adjustments, especially in the point guard position. The Lakers might need to explore options like signing a veteran player post-buyout to address this issue. Regardless, there are numerous factors to consider, and the pursuit of James Harden could come with both benefits and pitfalls. The prospect of James Harden joining the Lakers raises concerns, especially considering his history of reacting strongly to perceived slights. While there are allegations that Daryl Morey treated him unfairly, Harden's track record suggests that if he ever feels slighted, he might not handle it professionally. Furthermore, the allure of Las Vegas, with its gambling, strip clubs, and nightlife, could potentially pose distractions for Harden. His previous actions, such as taking trips from Philly to Vegas the night before playoff games, raise questions about his commitment to the team. If the Lakers were to trade for Harden and he were to quit on the team, it could create a complex situation. Even if he were eventually traded, the Lakers could end up losing valuable assets in the process. Therefore, the idea of acquiring Harden simply to prevent him from joining the Clippers might not be worth sacrificing reliable contributors like Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent, who are known for their commitment and effort on the court. Maintaining a cohesive and dedicated roster might be more beneficial in the long run. The players you would have to part with in exchange for James Harden could potentially be outweighed by the production you get from Rui, D'Lo, and Gabe Vincent. If we were talking about a 27-year-old James Harden, it might be a different story. Perhaps back when he was in Houston competing with Golden State for NBA championships, trading almost anything would make sense. You might even consider trading Austin Reeves if necessary to secure a player who was a nightly 30-point triple-double machine. However, that's not the James Harden we have today. He's aged, and he's not the same dominant force he once was. He's developed a reputation for drama and has become more interested in the nightlife than in playing NBA games. It seems he frequents strip clubs more often than he shows up in critical playoff games. The idea that you can rein him in at this point in his career, while he still believes he's a star and demands a max extension, is questionable. Frankly, he might not be worth the trouble. If Steve Ballmer wants to pay him $50 million a year to wear a Clippers jersey and compete with the Lakers, then fine. Best of luck to them. However, the likelihood of it working out is dubious at best. Once more, the potential upside of having James Harden on the Lakers roster is undeniably enormous, to the point where it could realistically secure an NBA championship. However, the problem lies in the risk-reward equation. The low-risk, high-reward scenario isn't quite there. Imagine you could simply sign James Harden or even swap D'Lo for him along with a first-round pick. That would make sense. In this situation, you'd be taking a calculated gamble on the potential upside. If it doesn't pan out, you could let James Harden go, much like you might do with D'Lo at the end of the season. It wouldn't harm your team significantly, making it a low-risk, high-reward move. However, if the cost involves giving up D'Lo, Rui, Prince, and possibly Gabe Vincent, the dynamic changes. Let's say you have to part ways with Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura, and D'Lo. Even though you still retain players like Taurean Prince, Austin Reeves, Cam Reddish, Max Christie, and Jackson Hayes, preserving your team's depth and talent, the risk becomes considerably greater. Now, the low-risk, high-reward scenario is diminished by the hefty price tag. So, if you were looking at a straightforward swap of D'Lo for James Harden, that would be a more appealing proposition. However, the cost of acquiring James Harden is substantial and has the potential to derail his team entirely. Some people might argue that the Lakers are willing to sign Christian Wood, who shares many of the same concerns about potential locker room disruptions. The key distinction here is that you can secure Christian Wood on a veteran minimum contract, which makes the risk-reward balance significantly more favorable. In this case, the high reward potential comes with low financial risk and you can easily part with it without substantial cost. On the other hand, cutting ties with James Harden is an entirely different story. You're not giving up on James Harden and paying him $40 million, that's a whole different ballgame. As always, the question is passed to you. Feel free to share your thoughts and perspectives in the comments below. Personally, I believe the Lakers can look into some possibilities regarding James Harden, but I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this matter. Leave it in the comments.